Ravens defense, much improved, way improved this year. Aaron Rodgers, negative 3.1 average air yards to the sticks, to the first down marker throughout this entire season. There have been 430 quarterback seasons since 2011 when the new CBA was signed. That ranks 430th. No one has thrown it shorter of the sticks than Aaron Rodgers as a starting quarterback since 2011. Probably the same if I look back further, but I'm just going to go to 2011. This guy is not pushing the ball, and it's frustrating. Like you mentioned that last week against the Browns. You watch the 2-minute drills, all of a sudden Rodgers is chucking it, throwing it over the middle, throwing to tight ends, throwing trick shots underneath. I'm like, do that for 4 quarters. Stop stat watching. Stop worrying about throwing a pick over the middle and stop like doing all that, like being frustrated at everybody. Because you watch him in 2-minute drills, his air yards outside 2 minutes is 5.6, easily dead last, historically low rate. Inside 2 minutes, 7.8 air yards. That's 18th in the NFL this year. It's higher than Josh Allen. It's higher than Sam Darnold. It just play like that. So this is all a mental block that he has with himself, or just like an ego thing. And it's very frustrating to watch because I see it even when DK Metcalf's not in there. He's willing to push the ball. But anyways, those are my Rodgers stats. That's what I'm focusing on. He's got to throw the freaking ball down the field. Otherwise, this is not going to work. It's just not going to work either this week or beyond. But anything to add on to that? Sorry to kind of take the mic right there, but it's just been very frustrating to watch.
No, I mean, my question is who's the person supposed to throw downfield to? DK Metcalf isn't there. Yeah, I guess Scotty Miller. Good luck with that. That sounds fun. Austin. I think. Like, dude, it's a very small sample size, but Aaron Rodgers' numbers when DK Metcalf is not on the field, I mean, it's not. He goes from like basically like average, or maybe it's like slightly above average production to bottom of the barrel. I mean, the success rate drops by, multiple percents. The EPA goes from 0.03 to negative 0.2, basically. Yards per drop back falls off a cliff. Air yards per attempt falls off a cliff. Conversion rate drops by 6%. I mean, it's not really like a workable offense for Aaron Rodgers if DK is not on the field. And, like last week was tough. Because he's getting rid of the ball so quick, but that wasn't even his fastest game, like getting rid of the ball. Like I think when I looked it up, it was like his 6th fastest of the year. And funny enough, like every other game that he finished below 2.5 seconds to throw was a win for the Steelers, except for that one, which is, I think, goes to show a lot about what actually happened in that game and that strategy and how repulsive it was. I can't let it go. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Beautiful. And I think that was that was one of 2 games that Aaron Rodgers had this year where he was under 2.5 seconds time to throw and had negative EPA on the day. And the other one was just like barely negative. So it's normally a good thing, like when he's getting the ball out that fast, but not like in this manner. Like when DK Metcalf isn't on the field, he's still averaging, 2.5 seconds to throw. But like I said, everything just falls off a cliff in terms of efficiency. I'm expecting this to be an ugly rock fight. One that's kind of suited for Steelers Ravens, I will say.
Yeah. A night game, Steelers Ravens. Like this is like as perfect as it feels. This is like what I grew up with. Is just because you got to remember, I grew up in like NFC Central and NFC North games, especially with the Vikings. So it was just a lot of like shootouts in domes for me growing up. And then I'd watch night games and it'd be Ravens Steelers. And there'd just be like 13-9. Big Ben is getting socked and his helmet's flying off. Terrell Suggs is beating someone up. Peter Boulware is out there. And I was like, wow, this is foreign to me. Like where's your guys' offense? Like, where are you guys going to throw the ball? Or like, what's Trent Dilfer doing? Like, and then so it was always just like a black and white color thing watching these games. So as I've gotten older, I've realized there's a little bit more than that. There's a little bit more ways to win a football game. No, it's a good point. Like, who do you throw to? And that's always been the issue with the Steelers makeup was they traded for DK and it was like, all right, you need one more guy. Like you can do all the tight end stuff, and I like some of the tight end stuff they do, but you need another guy that can line up on the outside. You can't go 12 personnel and just go, yeah, we only have one guy out here that can win on the outside. The other guy's a nothing burger. All right, defense is just run cover 2.
I thought they were going to keep George. I really thought they were going to keep George when they traded for DK. You're all in. Your quarterback's 41 years old. Why not?
Yeah,
you're still getting that 3rd round pick, whether you play him this year or you don't. You let him play and you walk, and he signs a big contract. You get a 3rd round pick, or I don't know. It's kind of strange. I still think that's kind of strange.
Another thing too is what I think an underrated thing with Rodgers, because there's been so much talk about like these older quarterbacks and the mental side. Rodgers used his athleticism way more than people remember. Like I think they just remember the signaling and the quick pass, so much slant flat, all that stuff. But the thing is, if you run quick game, they ran those slant flats. Like when it wasn't open, that was when Rodgers would do the bounce thing, up and down, and Bakhtiari would be doing a shield pass blocking, and it was kind of their own version of doing it. Like you just look at his time to throw. You brought up all the time to throw stats. With his athleticism waning or his lack of willingness to even tap into it, like that aspect's dropped off. And he only attacks to the outside now. He takes those one-on-ones. Last week was the great example. It was like there are plays over the middle if you read zone coverage, not all of them, but he just always defaults to the one-on-one. And I've talked about this too with like Bo Nix against man coverage. But a quarterback is taught. Sometimes if it's a 3-by-1 concept, the 3-man side is okay against cover 2, you work here. Against cover 3, you work here. Against quarters, you work here. A man-to-man, okay, you might have a man-to-man beating concept with the 3-man side, or you take your one-on-one if you like the matchup. Did you hear how I ended that? If you like the matchup. Like if you like the matchup, not Scotty Miller, not MVS against a Pro Bowl corner. It's DK Metcalf against a average corner. Yeah, I like that matchup. I'll take that one-on-one. Devontae Adams in his prime. Yeah, I'm going to take that one-on-one matchup every single time. He became so reliant on the training wheels and then they got taken away, and he just didn't want to adapt his game. And as he's fallen off, it just hasn't. That's why Brady aged a little bit better. Breeze aged a little bit better, is because they were true pocket guys. He was a little bit more of a dual threat than I think even people have remembered. Last little stat: his time to throw in 2011. I think that's when he won the Super Bowl. No, I'm sorry, the MVP, and they went 15-1. I think his time to throw was 2.79 seconds. In 2019, when LaFleur got there, 2.82 seconds, and this which ranks 62nd since 430 quarterbacks since 2011. So one of the longer time to throws. That's why him and Caleb Williams have a lot of similarities. Matthew Stafford too for Caleb. There's a little Stafford to Caleb's game. But this year, 313th in time to throw, 2.53 seconds. It's a different guy, and they just don't have the resources or the auxiliary parts that kind of push it over the top. So anyways, long-winded way to say a very frustrating, a very tight offense to watch.